Hello everyone, my name is Anna Mardal and this is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Can you believe it's been, wow, since November 1st, since I played. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. So I'm alive, I'm still here, yay, super excited about that. I hope everyone else is too. I had a heck of a December and January, and I mean, part of it was I always kind of get sick around the cold weather, the winter weather, and I tend to lose my voice, so that happened again this year and it threw me off my Phoenix Wright stride. But this time it was so much harder to get back in because I kept thinking, oh no, when I come back in, I won't remember how to do the voices. I won't, you know, you'll have the obvious break where I've been gone. It'll sound wrong. I won't remember what was going on with the trial. And like the longer I didn't do it, the more I was afraid of like the same thing. So I do have a bit of actual like medical anxiety that I'm being medicated for. So long story short, too late. Hi there, hello kitten. I have a kitten in my arms. Long story short, my new boyfriend. Oh, there's a new boyfriend, so there's that too. My new boyfriend was like, oh gosh, you have Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney on the Switch. Which my friend Ben bought for me before I started doing these Let's Plays, and he was like, I've always wanted to play that, and he started playing the first turnabout last night, and I thought, you know what, I could just hear myself doing the voices for Winston and Larry. I was like, I can do this. I'm just gonna get back in it. I miss it so much, so here I am. And this kitten in my arms is named Coconut. Yeah, she's new to me. Boyfriend brought her. Yeah, she's boyfriend's cute kid. She weighs 7 pounds and 5 ounces. She is officially the smallest cat in the house, and she's still very scared of everyone, but she likes me, so I don't know why. So we're gonna start up part 4 of the recipe for turnabout, and that's the trial. And I am gonna admit I have no clue what's going on. Like, I kind of remember, but I kind of don't, so it's gonna be fun. And I also just want to say, like, I am going to do my best with the French accent. A friend of mine actually I love them dearly, but kind of made fun of my terrible French accent, and that kind of hurt. It's bad. I know. I am Texan through and through, and everything that I do here accent-wise is just my best approximation. So I'm going to do my best, and hopefully you all don't suffer too much, but I'm really sorry that it's not good. So I worry about that, but it's okay. We're going to get through it. So it is January 8th, 9:46 in the morning at the district court. And there are the guards that are always there. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that! That little flash of doubt in your eyes! No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You'd better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you.
Hey, pal!
Hey, Detective Gumshoe.
Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that.
How did you know she was stressed?
I was watching through the doorway.
Oh.
You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help.
Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too?
Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing.
Come to think of it, That doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. It looks like a nail polish bottle.
This is a small bottle that turned up in Travian's kitchen a couple days ago.
Wow, look at all these little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell.
We finally got the analysis results back from the lab.
So? What is it? Is it the poison?
I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication.
Medication?
Yeah. For ears. Topical use only.
Okay, that fits because the victim had some kind of ear medication he was taking. For ears? You mean?
Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum.
Okay, I remember that. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Maybe it was swapped out? Like the ear medication was taken away from him and instead poison was poured into a bottle? What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that?
Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle.
Great.
Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but...
That's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence.
Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. You got it?
I'll do what I can. Today's trial, I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Hey, baby girl. You're right. You don't need to be scared. She's scared. Yeah, she's scared.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Beard.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. I don't remember what voice I gave him. I think I made it kind of thoughtful.
Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems.
Oh yeah, he swore he was telling the truth, but it didn't make a lot of sense, as I recall. Where are you going? Where are you going? Can I sit in my lap? I don't know. Okay, I guess we're doing laps now. I'm not sure that's a good idea, baby girl. I'm trying to think. Ow, 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 ow. That's my goddamn leg. I'm thinking. I remember it seemed like maybe he'd seen the crime from a different... Okay, yeah, alright, I'm getting there.
Okay. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank from it with his right hand. Yes, because... But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick?
Uh-huh.
So... Hey, don't fight.
Oh
No fighting. Alright, hold on, I'll let you out. I'm gonna open the study door. Okay. Hold on. City girl. I like to close the study door so that noises from the outside can't come in. And she's still, Coconut's still afraid of the other cats. So she growls at them when she thinks she's trapped. Okay. My thinking was that maybe he was telling the truth, but that he saw a different incident from what we thought he saw.
Huh. Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles. The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Okay. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand.
Achoo! Bless you!
Hi there. Hello. And you are?
Oui, bonjour everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and chef of La Très Bien Restaurant. Enchanté.
Bless. Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am la pet and perky gentleman law.
Okay, there we go. I have been trying to nail down gender, and...
But didn't... They say... They were... a girl? I guess they could be... gender fluid? I don't know. I'm just gonna... It's fine. I just wish I could ask what pronouns they would like us to use. But you know what? I'm just going to use they. They is perfectly fine to use when you don't know what someone's pronouns are. So I'm going to use that.
On the day of the incident, you were in Trebion's kitchen? Isn't that right?
Really, too. That was... Everything feels right.
Oh, I guess Jean likes what they see. And Godot seems okay with that. Ha! Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Oh, Phoenix. That wasn't an intimidation check, sweetheart. That was a persuasion check. Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Trebion.
Oui. Volontiers.
Here we go.
When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art deco that day. Like having a large mirror between la tables, for example.
A mirror. Would a mirror account for thinking that the patron was using his left hand and listening his left ear? If you didn't know it was a mirror? Is that the secret? I think that might actually be it.
Oui, perhaps that is what La Old Man was looking at.
Oh, put it together for me.
La cap, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no?
Yeah. Mirror? Yeah, that's my reaction too.
Oui, un grand mirror, la most enormous mirror.
And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Yeah, I feel like he did a good job there. I'm actually genuinely impressed. Does that explain everything, though? I feel like it does.
Hey, baby girl. Cookie.
I think that would do it. Taking notes. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay.
When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. The thing is...
Okay, we're just gonna press everything. Who were the 2 customers exactly?
Me, of course. The young man who died, and the other, not so young man.
You are referring to yesterday's witness, I presume.
What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table?
Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence.
We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we?
I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with Art Deco? How come I never heard about that before today?
You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur?
Please stay on topic. Why didn't you tell the court about this before?
But I did, just a few moments ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorature? No. Art Deco, it's a style of design. Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that sort of thing. Oh yes, of course, that deco.
I was trying to achieve a more feminine look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of the decor. Like having a large mirror.
How big of a mirror are we talking about here?
Oof, something about 4 meters wide and, we about 2 meters high.
If 1 meter is 1 yard, holy glass in a frame, that's huge.
I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually.
The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember.
No, but I decided not to go through with it in the end.
What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? I think I'll leave it for now. He couldn't lie about such a huge object like that. It must be there in the restaurant somehow. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object. Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, Trite, even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here? Well, Trite! Not the hair! I do not have a top knot! Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument.
Bien, logic has won the day.
Everything. He would have seen everything in reverse?
Oui. Hey, Nick, We should take a second and think about what old Seedy said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he saw on the left was actually the right. And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but do you think old Seedy saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes this situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We've just gotta dig deeper. I'm going to press on the mirror statement. If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Beard's testimonies. But... You didn't ask, Wright. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Trebian the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebian, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. If you want to doubt someone, Wright, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. But where's the picture of the... Ah, shit. That's not what I meant to do. I hit the wrong button. Not present. We want profiles. That's R. Okay, there's the picture of the cup, So Kudo said the HMD and the earpiece Okay, but he actually did wear the HMD over the left eye. So if everything was reversed, the HMD should have been on the right eye too. And we know it was on the left because that was... Okay, so that doesn't work. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. To summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not so hard, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts.
If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? I love the music. I miss the music. Order! Mr. Wright is correct! Mr. Wright is correct! I missed that. Well, you know, when you're amazing like we are. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye. How bitter. Try it, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee? Or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume. The I broke the vase sorry apology Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece, and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear! Well tried. That's the worst, but best impression of Kudo ever. I don't... What?
Wow, I really thought he was old Seedy for a minute there. Kudo's good. Okay.
Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at la plans of the restaurant. Hello, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror. It was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was last seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After that terrible incident occurred, I moved Lamir so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this.
Don't worry about it. I love that Godot is like flirting with them. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again.
I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteer, of course.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please.
Okay, so... what I don't get is... no, we'll get there, I guess. But why... why... Alright, we'll just press everything. Run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? Oui. Oui? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Objection!
Look who's talking, Wright.
Huh?
You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But this is my seat in the courtroom.
Très bien's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Wright.
I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there in the middle of the restaurant. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victim. That was where the old man was sitting. After that terrible incident occurred, I moved the... we saw this one. Okay, back. And where would that be? Oh la la! Look how you lean towards me. I have always attracted the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer.
Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
I attract the older ones too, you know, handsome. Shall I tease you too?
Ugh. all of them? I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time.
I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume.
Nice one, Maya.
Bien, I will tell you, there was only one seat from which you could have seen.
So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat?
My monsieur, it is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. La victim would have been reflected in la mirror like so. If you were sitting at la table next to him, you would see everything, no?
So that's the seat old Sadie was sitting in on that day, when the poisoning happened.
The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does that seem odd? Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was out calling the police?
Oui, exactement. I carried it out of the restaurant.
You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself?
What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome.
Bless.
Godot actually laughed at something.
Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it's possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong?
I look like the obliging type, no?
Thanks. I don't understand that.
But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
It is pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Sadie.
The only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Tremiel that day. Now I've just got to prove it.
Run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct?
Oui.
Really? Because I know if I were you... Oh, we already did that. Okay, so here's my thought.
Did I get this one? Are you sure about that?
I touched nothing except la mirror.
Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene? Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly. Suffering from a case of heartburn, tried.
Oh, I have just the same for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense.
Add a few drops to your coffee and voila, enjoy.
Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I just need to ignore those two and find some evidence. Okay, we got everything right. On the third statement. Next to. Next to.
he had to have been here in order to see this mirror image, supposedly. But I broke the vase at my seat. Godot pointed that out specifically. And this one, the vase isn't broken. This piece of evidence contradicts the testimony we've heard, Your Honor. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite. Now then, if the defense will please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture. The vase? What possible connection does this have with the witness's testimony? Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table, because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trevion that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary, in his own words. I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Yes. Ugh. Oh my God. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? Excuse me. Oh, they're crying. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear? Why did he? It's just so weird. Ha! You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back.
Are we sure that he actually did have the ear condition?
If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Wright, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. They faked the death after it happened so that the time of death would be different. That's what I was thinking before, I think. That would explain for the different waitress. It would explain for the stuff being worn wrong. You'd think the time of death would be wrong, but presumably if you did it close enough to when it happened, you could make it work. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. I think it's the victim was a phony. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there is one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Order! Order in the court! Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom! Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Right. Are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. So actually that is coming together. I thought it was too out there, but no, here we are. Alright. But what I want to know is, well, we'll get there, I guess. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection!
Get real, Wright. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was the serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl. Right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's hard to believe, but... There was one, and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Beard in the act of poisoning the coffee. So that makes it... Oh, what was her name? Violet or Violetta or whatever. And meanwhile, Maggie Beard was somewhere else, basically.
Objection!
Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? Yes. It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. Yeah! You'd think, wouldn't ya? That's right! Well, witness? If your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Oh la la! This is most difficult for me.
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trebion that day?
Oh, honey. Are we gonna get him killed by, like, the mafia or whatever? I don't want that. Or, like... whatever... group they represent. I feel bad about this.
The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. Okay. Yeah. It's the right thing to do. I'm afraid he's gonna get killed. I'm afraid he's gonna get killed. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events of the restaurant that day.
Oui. La victim, Monsieur L. He came to my restaurant alone. I remember an old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Monsieur L became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. Now, no, there was no time for a phony to do the acting.
You're still trying to lie. Oh, honey. Oh, honey, you're still trying to lie. I mean... Good for you for trying it, I guess. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all?
Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oui.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. He took that perjury charge a bit too well, but I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination.
La victim, Monsieur L, came to my restaurant alone.
Was he alone at his table as well?
Mais oui, I saw him from the kitchen.
Yet the defendant, Miss Beard, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table. Huh. Unfortunately for you, Wright. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking?
It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet.
Are you saying he's in love with us, Maya? Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Were we listening to the same thing, Phoenix? By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct?
Oui, he comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience.
Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. I don't know if I want to ask anything yet. I'll wait for just a moment. All I need to do is establish that this phony victim really existed. Asking more about the old man is only going to cloud the issue. I think that's enough about the coffee. Please continue with your testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
You are welcome anytime too, Mr. White. I'll brew something special for you.
So your only customers were Kudo and the victim.
Objection!
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Wright? You'd never catch me drinking the same blend twice. Huh? You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant. But you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee if you catch my drift. But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere. I'm sure of it. Did you see him?
No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, $500,000!
Presumably the defendant heard that too, then, correct?
Maggie? She looked like a poor frightened little dove.
And what about Mr. Kudo?
The old man choked on some birdseeds that got stuck in his throat.
Oh, hang on just a second.
And we're back. I'm so sorry about that. The old man choked on some birdseeds that got stuck in his throat.
It seems we have now yet another incident on our hands. What were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. You must have had time to kill? That's delightfully ambiguous.
I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur.
Okay, I'm just calling it that we're gonna go full gender fluid. That's cool. That's what I am, so here we are. Sorry? What do you mean?
That is la renowned chef, Jean Armstrong, and la tragic poet, Clarice Armstrong.
Clarice?
Oui, I was writing a poem, an angry tale of a chef in $500,000 debt. Cooking for a man who won $500,000 on the lottery.
Sounds like an interesting poem.
It is called Pourquoi? It means why. Perhaps I could recite it for la court?
Please don't. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred?
I asked the old man to call from the payphone.
By your own argument, right? The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed.
Bien, it seems the shadow of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas?
Wait, what do you think?
I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh?
Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. L, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time, after all.
But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too?
No, sweetie, she wasn't in the room. Keep up. She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember?
Ah, you mean that's when the phony staged his act?
We'll know for sure once I find out a hole in this testimony. Okay. So I think we need to go back to the bit where we chose not to press on the old man.
How many minutes after?
You're saying not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oui, that is correct.
But that still leaves the possibility of something happening in that gap of time. By your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed?
Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say.
2 minutes, that's all? It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time.
Rats, I knew I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning.
Let's try to get in.
What time was it?
Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh, no. I cannot remember, monsieur.
Really? I believe we were told by a witness yesterday.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by kind of a scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
That incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10, no?
Just after 2, huh?
Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
Haha, I can't just sit here all the time and do nothing, now can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, monsieur Judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Haha! I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
Can I press this?
Are you absolutely sure about the time?
When I think really hard, I am sure it was just after 2, oui. It is the time I stopped serving the lunch menu.
Quite right, I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just in time to make it on time. Guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch. Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already.
Witness, get on with your testimony, please.
Great. Okay. This has to be the false statement. Excuse me. The time of death works. Wait. If the show was announced at 1:30, then he couldn't have shown up at 2. Objection! I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong.
Quoi? What do you mean?
At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announce the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery tickets.
Oui, that must be the show Monsieur Egg was listening to.
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct?
Oui. I am sure of it now. I remember it perfectly. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu.
Get to the point, Wright, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over? There is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Treviant that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg, acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy? Quite a performance, Wright. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. Oh my god. No. Why? What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain, then, where the real Glen Elg is? Interesting. Under the table, maybe? How do we prove that, though? What about that mirror? It feels like too big of a... It feels too big to just ignore. Could it have been... I gotta think about it.
I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time, the real Glen Elg was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Thank you, Wright. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. What?
Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Sure.
Can you explain where the missing corpse went to?
Yeah, I figured that was coming.
The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg,
then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
kitchen, table, mirror. Something. Okay, think. Come on. Think this through. It had to be somewhere. These are supposed to be solvable. So, the clever thing would be if the mirror had messed it up somehow, or hidden it somehow. Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Wright. Let's hear some facts for once. You haven't been adding too many of those. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction, but he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed? Gotta be inside. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Trebian. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright. I mean... Yes, Your Honor. It's gotta be the kitchen, right? There's literally nowhere else. The exact location. I mean, there's no way around it. It has to be the kitchen. Or under a table. Those are the options, really. Okay, if it was under a table, here's the thing. The X had to be where the victim was for Victor to see what he saw. And the over here had to be where Victor was. We already demonstrated that with the vase. I don't see where you could put a mirror between the tables. And I do feel like Victor would have said something about the mirror. So, obviously you can't put a body in the lobby. That leaves the kitchen. That's literally the only place you can put it. That's the only option.
Take that!
The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Okay, that's harder. There's got to be. What have we found in the kitchen? That was at the table. Also, not in the kitchen. Bench. I don't suppose the food tastes bad because there was a dead body dragged through it. Probably not. Although that would be hilarious. The scooter was outside. The loan contract isn't important. Potassium cyanide. The coffee cup was outside the kitchen. The lottery ticket was on Maggie. The apron was on Maggie. That was in Maggie. You know, Gumshoe gave this to us. Gumshoe gave this to us. For this case, which means we're probably going to use it today. It was found in the kitchen. Ear medicine. Why would his ear medicine be in the kitchen? He had no reason to go to the kitchen. In fact, according to everyone we've talked to today, supposedly he didn't go to the kitchen. So the fact that he went to the kitchen means he, or at least his body, was in there when it presumably wasn't supposed to be. Did they, when they dragged him in there, did the... Oh, it fell out of his pocket, didn't it?
Take that!
Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle?
No, no. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Très Bien restaurant.
Eh, quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that very day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle match the prescription that was given Mr. Elg. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen. at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Mon Dieu!
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Beard. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
No!
Order, order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn-L?
Never! I could not do such a horrible thing!
No! It's Godot. Mr. Godot? The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules.
Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now?
Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I'm sorry? What does that mean? I like to take them down with my empty cup. Oh, well, there you go. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend? What does that mean? H-deficient? What is an H deficiency? Am I not getting something obvious? Oh well.
Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me, por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
No, no, absolutely no.
Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make a final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
Oui, it is clear.
Why do they always say in the movies? What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. Okay.
It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But they did not kill him, I swear it, you must believe me. I do believe him, actually.
You were forced? By who?
I cannot say, or I will be erased.
Let's try a different question then. When Mr. L died, was he really the only person at the table?
There was... There was another man.
I knew it.
Maggie was telling the truth.
You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Okay, we're gonna press everything, just to make sure we got it all, but I think I know. Did you carry the body by yourself?
Oui, I carried him. And I carried Maggie too.
Maggie too?
When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there.
But why did you hide the bodies?
A man forced me to do it. I had no choice.
What man? Who was he?
No, I cannot say. I fear for my life.
He's really scared.
You'll just have to put the words in his mouth.
You're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him. But why would you go along with this man?
I had to go along with him because...
And what would the reason be, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, monsieur.
Yes?
Surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment.
A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that.
And a bit too male.
I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason, so I'll have to prove it with evidence.
But I did not kill him.
Are you claiming that all you did was hide the bodies? Is that correct?
Oui, that's right.
If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this.
He's already confessed this much. He might as well stop dancing around the real issue.
Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is.
Then suck it to him, Nick.
Okay, I know the reason. So we'll start with that.
Objection!
You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oui, je suis désolé. I was weak and I borrowed the money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. Where is he? There we go.
Take that!
$500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you?
How does Violetta come into this? Well, I guess she was the fake waitress. Otherwise, I don't think she does.
That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oui, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
The tiger. He told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting with the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that.
Okay, but I remember the reason he didn't repay his loan was because he won the lottery. So he didn't need, he could just repay it that way. He didn't have to do it was like a virus that he had coded for him.
I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and la inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. Or Tiger. I don't know. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Please don't let it be you that put it there. Let it be Furio. Was that your doing as well?
No, I knew nothing about that. Oh, thank goodness. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Good. Mr. Godot. So we're done now, right? You will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. Oh, well, yeah, okay, that's fair. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. "30 minutes. I'm sorry, what? What? Yeah, that's what I said. The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't sit back and relax yet, Wright. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Is he helping us? Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, Court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. Is he helping us? Also, that was kind of hot. I need 30 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm weak. I'm weak. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna save. I guess, I think the next one's gonna be short, but, okay, here's the thing. I will not post this until after I've recorded the next video. So at least we'll finish this one out and you don't have to, like, worry about me not coming back to this one. So I'm really sorry I left everyone hanging for so long. Like I said, I start... Wait, I need to write a note down. Well, I'll do it after I stop talking. I start these talk sessions wreck my voice in the winter when it's cold, and next thing you know, I can't talk for a week, and yeah. But no, I will record the next one, and I'll post them both, you know, on a schedule so that you won't be left waiting. So, and I'm really so sorry the other one took so long. But I am here, and I love you all. Thank you so much for being so patient with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.